Okay, so continuing our series on hormones, tonight we are talking to Miss Adria McCardy, aka Adria Bee, on PCOS and me. And it's crazy because Adria dropped into my mind, my spirit, a while back, I think at least a week ago. And I was like, I have to get her to talk about PCOS. I see her always working out. She's really doing her part to combat her diagnosis. And it would be so good for our community for her to share her testimony. Then I finally messaged her because some nights it was like way too late. It was like after midnight. I'm like, she's gonna think I'm crazy. So finally messaged her, and then she said, guess what? I'm dropping a blog on this tomorrow.
Yep.
And so it timed up perfectly where you just dropped a blog today about PCOS. And so really tonight, I want you to go through the story of your diagnosis. I read in your blog that you got diagnosed in the Bahamas, which I found to be amazing because so many people are misdiagnosed, or they go through an extensive period of time and they don't know what's really going on. But you are diagnosed back home, so that was what
Yep.
I would like to hear more about that. And then moving into, what they recommended for you, and going into how you combat it in your day-to-day, everyday life through food, wellness, spiritual, all of that, download into us. And then also, like, if you knew about PCOS beforehand, your emotional state when you learned about it. So take us through that journey.
Yeah, no problem. And you're definitely going to have to remind me on these questions as we go on. So the first question, I guess we start with pre-diagnose. And hi everyone again, I'm Adria. And okay, so pre-diagnose, I was in Orlando in the States at the time. I was finishing up my master's actually. And it was a stressful time already. But what compounded that was that, was that I just literally, I wouldn't stop bleeding. Like I was like, menstrual cycle wise. And I'm like, what's going on? This has never happened to me before. I know I'm so stressed. Maybe it's stress. And so, I tried to rest more. I did everything, I took some time off just to see if that would help, and nothing was helping. So I was on my own at the time, so it kind of just added that scare, because like you asked, I didn't know anything about Pcos beforehand, PCOS, but I call it Pcos. And I just was like, girl, what, like, are you broken? What's going on? And so the thing is, I went to the doctor in the States, but it was like a normal checkup. Like they didn't even do any ultrasound and nothing. And they were like, oh, it's probably stress. So you'll be okay. And I'm like, okay. So, I tried to like, it's funny because they tell you not to stress and something is clearly wrong, going wrong with your body. And so you just have the question of, how do I do that? But I tried my best, and yeah, that wasn't working. But luckily I was headed home, and so I went to, like the official gynecologist. And so she came, did the ultrasound. I forget what the terminology is. And like within maybe 5 minutes, she's like, yeah, you have different cysts, or whatever the term is. Yeah, so you have Pcos, polycystic ovary syndrome. And I'm like, what? This is a thing? I absolutely had no idea. I was so active in high school, so I guess that kind of combated. I wouldn't even have known. It was only until, like, again, my master's, I wasn't moving around much. It's a lot me and my laptop. So I guess that explains that. So she tells me that I have Pcos, and I didn't even know how to react to me. Because I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, what is this? And then and then following, she was just like, you can't, you don't even like try to lose weight. It's with people with Pcos can't. And so that was another thing. I was like, hold on, me who likes to be active in the gym, you're telling me that I can't do this? And then she basically just gave, I think it was birth control at the time. And she said, if anything is more serious, then it would be other meds. And she just sent me on my way. Like literally, I think that whole process was 15 minutes. There was no like compassion. There was just like, okay, this is what you have. There you go. You got this, girl. And my sister was there, and oh, she was livid. She can contest to this. But when I got home, obviously I Googled, because Google is our best friend, and I was like, okay, let me see what it's about. And a lot of things started to make sense. So I don't know if our viewers are, and you could let me know like if we need to shift into a different direction. But our like, so our, I don't know if our viewers know, but like some of the symptoms are weight gain very easily, acne, excessive hair, especially like on the face. I'm trying to think of other things that I've been through in terms of the symptoms. And then obviously irregular periods, or sometimes when you get periods, it's extremely heavy and a lot of pain. And like in the blog, I can literally, they talk about PMS symptoms. I didn't know that was a thing until like my later stage of my life. And I would feel like my period was on 2 weeks, and like before it actually came on. And I was like, what? Why are you teasing me, body? Come on already. And I know that sounds weird, but when you have Pcos, having like your period come on the day it's supposed to come on is like, oh my gosh, it's a rejoice. Which is, we don't like our periods, but when you have Pcos, it's a whole different thought process, because it's like, okay, I'm doing, my body is adjusting my hormones. And so that was, I guess, the little what's called Pcos process in a nutshell. Like I said, this is the part where you remind me of the other questions.
That's how did you combat it? After they said, go and take medication, and then you decided that I'm going to combat this my way and not your way.
Yes. And so it wasn't even like that I was against what she offered. I was just, I don't know, and I also don't know if it was denial, but I was thinking, I can do this. I can get my life on track. At the time, like, I fell off gym, and I ate whatever I wanted. I was stressed. I was in my master's doing comprehensive exams, so I literally wasn't keeping track of anything. And I was like, I'm gonna try this the natural way and see how it goes. For me, if I can do things the natural way first, I will commit to that. But again, I wasn't against taking medication. So I changed my lifestyle. I started working out more consistently, which is the key. And then I changed my eating habits into more consistency. So obviously I amped up on fruits and veggies. I call it lower-ish carb, because my body, for some reason, they'll say no carbs. My body does not react well to absolutely no carbs. So I try to put couple in, maybe if it's rice for dinner or something. And for me, again, which is something in the blog, which you just have to see how your body reacts. It's not a one size fits all, is very key. And so and in terms of symptoms, I think I gave myself maybe about 3 months to see how I felt in terms of the Pcos symptoms. And within every month, I would see less and less. And so for me, that was a good sign of, okay, change of lifestyle is helping. And the biggest thing, but then many girls know, is my story is not the same as someone else's story. Since I've opened up in this journey, I've heard a lot of girls' stories, and some are on the heavier case, the things that I've never experienced before, and some are were diagnosed, but then within a year they were taken back, like the cysts were gone. And so it's a whole spectrum, I would say, of the Pcos syndrome. And so the thing is just finding out what works for you. And that can be medication. And like I said, if that's something that can help you in your journey, by all means.
Do you know the role that hormones play in PCOS?
So again, only what I've researched, and then I've also just talked with doctors, because I just like to know the information. Now you've done it. I knew when I was researching the specific hormones, but right now I know it's just the general hormone and insulin levels. I'll have to I'll go back to that article that I read and I'll update you guys just for that. This moment, it slipped my mind in terms
So
of
it
the
has to do
actual
with
hormones.
insulin production and
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So
I think it's
insulin
at the very top of your blog where you talked about, let me pull it up.
insulin resistance is the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably where they brought in the carbs, the complex carbohydrates, and they
Yep.
want you to avoid it for the sugar and stuff. Okay, that makes sense. And so there is no cure. Is there a way that your dietary changes cause your body to, like you said, some women, they go back to normal, it's like nothing happened. But is it that you have to maintain this level of activity, this diet forever and ever and ever?
I would that forever and ever and ever is just like, oh my gosh. But I try not to think of it like that. But yes, in a nutshell, yes, because
Yeah.
I like how I talk in the blog. Literally, if I miss a day of workout, for example, if I try something new that like is not usually in my food schedule, I notice it right in the Pcos symptoms, which is either like more pain before the period or like not having a period for an extra few weeks. And so even when like, because I'm testing my body, I'm like, you can take this body. So even when I add a different exercise to the workout routine, I can see the difference, and I'm like, okay, fine, Pcos, I'll go back to what you like. I understand. So that, and then what was interesting with the insulin resistance is that they were saying something that Pcos can also, I don't know if the word is trigger, so we'll have to look for the medically correct term, but basically can trigger like the pre-diabetes, diabetes to that route. And so that is something I definitely want to make sure our viewers know and look out for. And also, that's also where the healthy lifestyle kicks in, but it's like PCOS is more susceptible because it affects the insulin levels.
I just clicked on the link that you put in your blog. So I'm going to put
Mm-hmm.
the link in the caption for this as well, and
Okay.
also in the YouTube caption. So it says that women with PCOS produce higher than normal amounts of male hormones, which causes them to skip menstrual periods and makes it harder for them to get pregnant. Now that part, because you're still single, you're not married yet. I know women with PCOS, and I think I know at least 2 people with PCOS who they had that fear about not being able to conceive. And I know people, at least one person, she had the fear of PCOS and what that would mean for her body, and she conceived a child out of wedlock. And normally,
Mm-hmm.
people would respond to that like, oh my God, I feel XYZ. I guess not so much culturally anymore, but she was immediately grateful because of this diagnosis and the difficulty it is to get pregnant. So in terms of that, how do you frame your mind to think about this may or may not be a possibility for me, and how do I come to terms with that in the context of like your faith, the future, just navigating those?
Yeah. I definitely, well, for our viewers, again, back to the research, about 50% of women go misdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all. And so I think it's definitely something that we have to bring awareness to, because doctors are testing you and they may not, so, sometimes they don't find out what is wrong in terms of the infertility that you're speaking about. And, just for peace of mind, it's helpful to at least check that out. So like if that's not it, then great, then there's another issue. But a lot of times, like I have examples with friends where they were having trouble getting pregnant, and no one it like kind of slipped under the radar, but they happened to have PCOS. So just something to look out for. But in terms of my personal, I guess, outlook, how I think, okay, so I feel like I've dealt with it in my own way. Again, like you said, Zemi, I'm single, so this is single Adri telling you this. Obviously it went again in a relationship, unless say the guy really wants kids, so I may have a different mind frame. But right now I'm just focused on basically like keep working on myself and like embracing that healthy lifestyle, and to know that if that's something that inevitably isn't an option, that I will be okay, and then that God has a plan. And so I kind of adopted that, and it's probably easier because I am single, so there's like I don't have to have that pressure of if the guy wants kids or not as yet. So I've been able to, keep myself sane in that regard, and literally just trust God through the process.
I think that's key. I mean, because you never know. Like, there's even a portion of women with unexplained infertility, which is even a worse thing to hear than you were infertile because you have PCOS,
True.
So not knowing versus I have a diagnosis, I can work through this with my body, and potentially with my dietary changes to have an impact on my chances of conception. So, I mean, I like what you said about, I don't think about it. I focus on the here and now. I focus on getting healthy. I focus on making wise choices with my body, and whatever God wills, God wills. And we pretty much are all in the same boat. PCOS or not, we don't know. Like, I was diagnosed all of a sudden after having regular pap smears that I had fibroids.
Oh,
Same doctor
wow.
all the time, and he had, no idea. And so, I mean, I want to double check that diagnosis, but you just have no idea what's going on with your body until you start to get things checked out. But it's like the things that help PCOS outside of like maybe the huge decrease in carbs. A lot of those things are what makes us healthy to begin with: sleep, exercise, water intake. Like, if we listen to our body and follow the thing, every single disease, they tell you the same things.
Yep.
The same couple of things: sleep, exercise, low stress. And so it's like over and over we hear preach that if you just do these things for your body, you will be, you pretty much guaranteed, or you have a high probability of being okay, being healthy. And PCOS is like the little red flag to remind us, hey, if you do this, this is what the result will be. And so in
Yeah.
that way, it's good to remind us. And I know it's painful for you to journey through it, to be an advocate at times, but you are also a signal to us to say, get in the gym, honey. Get in the gym. Work on your happiness. Like, you enjoy life, and I love that about you. You're enterprising. You just launched this blog. It's amazing. I'm sure the traffic numbers are crazy. you know so I mean,
We're
like,
happy.
I just love that, that you truly enjoy life and are stewarding your body well.
Yeah.
And so, like, let's learn more about you, I guess, before we close. Like, you as a person, things that you want people to know about you outside of your PCOS diagnosis. When you think of yourself and what you want to represent for others, what would that be?
Ooh, Zemmy's getting deep, y'all. Definitely. Well, there are other blogs that I've also written, so you can learn a little bit more about me. And that the reason why it's so funny, because I have a full-blown website now, but the reason why I have the website is for basically somewhere where I can put the blog, because I want it to be basically an outlet of me sharing my journey, but also if it can help someone, then that is the goal. And so I would love, I'm so glad for this collaboration in terms of we can share each other's stories and strengthen each other, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about community. Other things about me, I love lemon water. And the thing I miss most about, I guess, pre-COVID, which is probably a little trivial, but I miss going to the movie theater. I love the movies. So that used to be my happy place. So it's been hard to find a de-stressor or whatever. So that is another thing. And then what I think about myself is that I am a life learner. So I keep trying to look for things that can either help me improve, can help someone out. And if I could sum like me up in one word, is, I guess, a life giver and a life learner, even though that's 4 words, but you know what I mean. To sum up, I have I guess a very big heart in terms of just wanting to help others and wanting to grow. So those are the two biggest things.
Awesome. And you also have a book, God and the Gold Digger. I actually was on a conference call with at least a good number of women, and the secondary speaker mentioned your book as being an excellent book for, she's a single, but she's been single for quite a few years, and she was encouraging them in their weight, and she truly recommended your book for the single woman, and I wanted to. And so actually, marital status doesn't matter in terms of information. So I definitely want it. I definitely, and it's not directed against to anyone in particular in terms of
not at all. Yeah,
yeah,
it's very general. And
yeah.
see, Semi is reminding me, Adria, tell people about your business. Sorry. So yes, God and the Gold Digger is a 40-day devotional focusing on basically the devotional for the boss woman, because I incorporate like faith with business, and I feel like that's very important because people separate it, and I'm like, I don't know why. How can you have business without Jesus? But there's that, and then I've launched, like, people are calling it the brownie shop. So I sell brownies all around the Bahamas, well, Nassau, and other things. Brooke and Lee, I write kids books, so that's another outlet. And then me and my sister, we also launched Brooke and Lee Co., which is basically the hub of websites you can find on all things Adria. So there's a lot. But you know what? I'll give me my information, but just, I guess, as an encouragement to that, you don't have to stick with the status quo of what you're supposed to do, especially in COVID. Try different things, obviously safely. And you would be surprised the community that you have around you.
Yeah, and then too, don't ever let a diagnosis discourage you, to a point where you give up on your goals and you become so self-consumed and you don't go pursuing things, because you could have easily been like, I have PCOS, I hate what's happening with my body, I don't want to do anything. You could have easily chosen depression. Exactly. But you chose to fight back, you chose to have faith, and you expressed yourself with your faith in so many different avenues. So I think that's awesome. And it's truly encouraging to me. I am so, I mean, I have a marriage ministry, but first and foremost, for me, singleness is key in terms of how you steward your single season. Because if you think about it, you spend less time, and you want to spend less time single than you do married. Everyone wants like a 20-year, 40-year, 50-year marriage, right? But you spend, like, say, sometimes 19 years, sometimes 25 years, for me, 27 years single. And so ideally, you spend less time, you're going to spend less time if you live a long life, and you have one partner. And so women don't understand that. I feel like we don't realize that this season is just so quick. And even when you think about 27 years, a lot of those were teenage years or childhood years. And so really it was like a decade of just you.
Exactly.
And so I feel just try to be happy in that season. Try to do as much as possible. You could go to Paris. You don't need a boyfriend or fiance to go to Paris. You know what I mean? Like, do everything that you want to do, master's, doctorate, whatever it is,
Exactly.
Pursue it all. That's truly what I believe. Marriage is not be all end all. For a lot of us, like, I have to check in. I couldn't just jump and do my master's like you. I have to check in. I have to ask. Yeah. I have to weigh it against goals. I mean, it's a whole different ball game. And so anytime I see a single who is stewarding her season well, who is happy, I truly just want to celebrate it.
But it's so interesting because, like, more power to you too, because I follow your work and you have some great insights. And one thing I think that from you that I've always, like, kept in my heart is that embrace the singlehood, because it makes it even better for marriage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, people always think that marriage is the only goal, but you start as a single person yourself. And so when if you're a happier you're growing, you work on yourself in the meantime, and you find your partner that leads to a happier marriage, so it's like you said, it's not something that is a rush to get to, even though I know that's what society puts on us. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's more just like you said, just reiterating, enjoying at that stage that you're in, whether it's single or whatever status that is. So I
Exactly.
agree.
I've been married 2 years, no kids yet. Everyone is like, "Oh, tell me when are the kids coming?" I'm like, when I have kids, my whole world is gonna change. So I could, if I didn't learn the concept of waiting with contentment, I would be a mess in the season. All over my vision board would be pictures of babies and stuff like that. But I know that that's a whole different dynamic, and to prepare for that. And I feel as if when women come to understand that, we'll be better off. Like, men aren't
Exactly.
pressing for a wife. Like, they are so calculated when they make a decision to choose a
Yes.
woman.
Yep.
And women are not as calculated. I mean, I know we're off topic today.
I know, sorry guys, but you got the bonus. By the way,
Yeah, no,
Sammy, I
so
still have your the vision board that we did, I think maybe it was 2 years ago, and my
yeah.
hair feel, I still have that. And obviously pre-COVID, COVID kind of messed up some things, but I'm like, hey, I still see you over there, vision board. We can do this.
Yes, definitely. But I guess we'll close out tonight. I'll invite you back, of course, because you have such a lot of things going on. You just also did a breakup series,
Sorry.
and you can't
I did.
get to the one without going through some counterfeits. It's gonna happen. So definitely, I want to talk about that, and journeying to happy after a breakup.
Yes.
And so we are also going to be purchasing some of your books. And so, ladies, look forward to that. There may be a giveaway happening. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on short notice. But you came and you shared your testimony with us, and I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, and I'm just so glad to be. I feel honored that you asked me, because I've looked at your work for so long, and then when I met you at the My Hair Appeal, I was just like, oh yes, this is she's very inspirational. So thank you, darling.
No worries at all. Big hug.
Air hugs.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.